ऐसे और वीडियोस के लिए मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें। 3, 2, 1 स्टार्ट।
In the USA, the most prevalent form is the electric chair stop. Other states follow yet other modes of execution, the gas chamber, firing squad or lethal injections stop. Whatever the mode, the idea of killing another human being, whatever his or her crime, is repulsive to many people today. Stop para. The advocates and the abolitionists of capital punishment have their own arguments in support of their stand. Stop. Those who say death should be the punishment in some cases agree that it is to be in special cases alone, the most heinous and gravest of crimes. Stop. The most prominent argument put forth by the advocates of the death penalty is that of deterrence. Stop. They feel that it is only fear of severe punishment that will deter the criminal and reduce the occurrence of heinous crimes. Stop. The theory appears to be valid at first glance, so to say. Stop. However, scientific studies have consistently failed to find strong and consistent evidence that capital punishment deters crime more effectively than other forms of punishment. Stop. The United Nations conducted research in 1988 updated in 2002 and concluded that it is not prudent to accept the hypothesis that capital punishment deters murder to a marginally greater extent than does the threat and application of the supposedly lesser punishment of life imprisonment. Stop. It further says that the statistics on the relation between the change in the use of the death penalty and the crime rates indicate that countries need not fear sudden and serious changes in the curve of crime if they reduce their reliance upon the death penalty. Stop para. Another argument put forward by those favoring death penalty is that life imprisonment is merely for 14 years or less in India, and then the criminal will be out, and free to resume his criminal activity. Stop. Besides showing a retrograde notion of human nature, surely, not all criminals are so unredeemable, for do we not have our own Valmiki, and many others in more recent times to prove otherwise? Question mark. The argument also shows ignorance of the law. Stop. If the state wants it so, life imprisonment can be for life. Stop. Being imprisoned for life is enough to deter the hardiest of criminals. Stop. To which the advocates say that the corruption existent in our jails would make the life of these criminals too pleasant to make them regret their crime. Stop. That would bring up the question of inequality in this country. Stop. A Dhananjay Chatterjee is not likely to enjoy those privileges which are reserved for the rich and influential, or those with the right political contacts, who are unlikely, in the first place, to be awarded the death sentence, semicolon. They would have the best lawyers and legal advice to get them off the hook. Stop. In such a situation of inequalities, awarding death penalty would compound the inequality and injustice. Stop. It is well known that the same kind of crime attracts different punishments from different judges and under different conditions of trial. Stop. It is equally well known that the underprivileged are easier to catch and convict, and are punished appropriately. Stop. Para. As to the argument that keeping a convict prisoner for life is a heavy burden on the country's economy, and maybe even dangerous if he is a ruthless killer, the abolitionists point out put that these are aspects which can be solved, get the prisoners to do some constructive work that may more than compensate for their keep, and take the necessary precautions to prevent further crime. Stop. Para. The most important reason the abolitionists offer is that death is so final that no miscarriage of justice can be corrected. Stop. And there have been cases, even if rare, of convicts having been innocent though convicted. Stop. Even one such case is enough to call for the removal of the death penalty from the statute book. Stop. It may come as a surprise to many that in the USA, since 1973, more than 100 prisoners have been released from death row after evidence emerged of their innocence of the crimes for which they were convicted. Stop. Recurring features in their cases include prosecutorial or police misconduct, the use of unreliable witness testimony, physical evidence or confessions, and inadequate defense representation. Stop. For each of the prisoners released, how many might have gone to their death in innocence, can we say that the Indian system of law and justice is free of these features? The Supreme Court of India has given some guidelines on cases where capital punishment may be given, the rarest or rare cases, as they are known. Stop. Examples cited by the apex court include such cases as when the murder is committed in an extremely brutal, grotesque, diabolical, revolting or dastardly manner, so as to arouse the intense and extreme indignation of the community, when the murder is committed for a motive, which evinces total depravity and meanness, such as murder by a hired assassin for money or reward, or a cold-blooded murder for gains of a person vis-a-vis whom the murderer is in a dominating position or in a position of trust, or if the murder is committed in the course of betrayal or of the motherland, when the murder of a member of a scheduled caste or minority community, etc., is committed not for personal reasons, but in circumstances which arouse social wrath, or in case of bride burning or dowry deaths, or when murder is committed in order to remand, remarry for the sake of extracting dowry once again, or to marry another woman on account of infatuation, when the crime is enormous in proportion, for instance, when multiple murders, say of all or most all the members of a family or a large number of persons of a particular caste, community, or locality, are committed, and when the victim of murder is an innocent child, or a helpless woman, or an old or infirm person, or a person vis-a-vis whom the murderer is in a dominating position, or a public figure generally loved and respected by the community. Stop. But even these are open to subjective and hence biased interpretations. Stop. Overall,